So what really causes the fear of public speaking? Yesterday, I was teaching my public speaking masterclass, and I brought in a guest speaker, Paula Langton, the former head of acting for Boston University and their theater department. And we talked about this, like at our core, where does that fear come from? Well, this actually harkens back thousands and thousands of years. If you think about who we are as human beings, we are primed for two responses: fight or flight. And this goes back to when we had a lot of perceived threats in our environment, right? We were living in the outdoors. We had to hunt and gather for our food. Starvation was our biggest threat. So our bodies were primed to go into a certain physical and chemical state in order to be able to survive. So today, when you're of course not living outdoors and you're not hunting and gathering for your food, your body still, when faced with any kind of perceived threat, has the same reaction. The same chemicals are still being transmitted through your body. Your body is still doing those funny things. So in the context of public speaking, it's really the stakes of your credibility when it comes to speaking in front of an audience that's causing all of that fear. I remember interviewing 30 people before I launched my class, and I asked them, what are your challenges around public speaking? Number one was fear of judgment. Number two was perfectionism, getting in their own way. Number three was, yeah, I know the content, but I just don't know how to say it succinctly and cogently. And then the last one is the fear of just not being good enough. Some of that imposter syndrome kicks in, and that's when all the fear and all the other funny stuff that goes in our bodies starts to kick off. So now that we know where the fear of public speaking actually comes from, like where does it actually start in our body, we can start to address it. So one of the things that Paula did last night was the next time that you're feeling that fear response or that flight response starts to kick up, actually do a body scan and think about where in your body are you feeling that tension. I personally like to carry a lot of it in my back and in my shoulders, which is why I'm always up like this, right? My boxing coach always tells me about this. But if you can actively think about where you're holding that tension, is it in your jaw? It is in your face? Is it in your arms? Relax. Breathe into those spaces. And then scan the room and know that you're totally safe. There isn't any perceived threat before you walk in or you take the stage or you have to lead that team meeting. Finally, now that we've really talked about the genesis of what's going on, the adrenaline and the cortisol that's coursing through your body and causing this fight or flight response, what are some things that you can do to counteract that? Well, number one, preparation is always key. You can't ever prepare enough. Know your material as you're walking into that meeting. Know your material as you're walking into that sales pitch. Number two is to really tell a story. And this is really the basics of what I teach in my public speaking class. If you think about it, and we harken back thousands of years, the way that we communicated with our peers or with new people was by virtue of telling a story. So how can you tell a story, which is, by the way, very familiar? You do it with your friends, you do it with your kids. How can you couch whatever it is that you're sharing in the form of a story with a compelling beginning, middle, and end? By the way, folks at Amazon do this anytime they have to present a new idea. They have to present it in the form of a narrative. So there is a business case for this. It also actually activates the three different parts of your brain, the three different brains that we have as we're wired as human beings. So telling a story is going to engage anybody, no matter if you're 18 years old or 84 years old. And then the final piece is to, when you're finding yourself getting off track or the things are getting derailed, don't be afraid of the silence. Stop, recalibrate, let that silence sit, and then start again. We as human beings are also so afraid of the silence. It makes us so uncomfortable. But if you can learn to harness that, if you can build that confidence muscle to sit with that silence, it's going to actually do you a world of good. Those are my tips for today when it comes to your fear of public speaking. I am in the middle of teaching a public speaking masterclass, as I mentioned at the top of this video. Hey, I would love to hear what your challenges are when it comes to public speaking. DM me, tell me down below, where are your fears? When you peel back the layers of the onion, what do you think that fear is really about? Better yet, I'd love for you to enroll in my January cohort of the public speaking masterclass and learn how to speak with confidence and command a room. All you got to do is DM me at info@ladydrinks.com.